Now let's add some color to her hair so that can get started, because I use black soot and it dilutes pretty good, so you have to put a few coats on. So again, I'm going to grab me a little bit of black soot, and I've switched back to my medium brush because it covers more area. And I'm going to start at the top of her head. My brush is pretty wet, so I'm going to wipe some of that off. And I'm just going to use that ink I put down to start my first coat of color. Grab a little bit more. Wipe my brush off, come back and spread this around a little bit. Use a little bit up here to darken this up just a little bit. Maybe down here on her braid. And see how light that is? It's going to require multiple coats, but we're going to let that dry. And here I got a little bit on this feather, so I'm going to wipe that off. Okay, so while that's drying, we're going to go down here and we'll add some more color to her skirt. Remember, we're using pumice stone for that, so we're going to grab a little bit of pumice stone, and I'm going to darken up some of these areas that have some more shading. So like up here underneath of her little shirt, down some of these little lines. We get this fold right here. And redo a couple of these. And I'm just using my water and my brush to lighten that up a little bit. And I've painted my shirt, so I'm going to go up here and get that wet. And dab it up with the paper towel. Like that. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go up here and we'll add another coat to our apple, which we're using Barn Door for that. And again, I used the detail brush because it's got a smaller tip on it, and that apple's pretty small between her fingers. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my Barn Door and come up here and add some of that. And I colored her finger. Let's see if we can wipe a little bit of that off. Kind of push it a little bit. Grab my paper towel and dab it. And it's all gone. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of color onto the leaf too. So for that I'm going to use forest moss. So I'm going to grab me a little bit of forest moss on my brush and just put that right on that leaf. Okay, and then I'm going to switch back to my medium brush, and I'm going to go add some more color to her hair. So I'm going to go over and grab me some more black soot. And I'm going to start down here close to her braid this time and brush it up. Let that dry, and I'll come down here and add a little bit more underneath of her braid. And she's got some ribbon on her hair down here, but she does have a little bit of hair showing through, so I'm going to go ahead and get that a little bit, but trying not to get it on the little ribbon that she's got going in her hair. She's got a little patch of hair right above her ear. So I'm going to get a little bit of color in there. Trying not to get it all over her ear. Get a little bit on her braid, get that started. And her hair's starting to darken up now. And because it's the black soot, it's going to require multiple layers of ink. So you just have to continue adding the color on as many layers as you want until you get it as dark as you would like. Now we're going to go down, we'll let that dry a little bit and we'll come back and add another color. But I'm going to go down and I'm going to add, I'm going to color this little button here. And for that I'm going to use Barn Door. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that. Okay, and then we're going to use Wild Honey to color these feathers. So I'm going to grab some of that. Brush a little bit on there. And you could color them any color you wanted. If you wanted them to be red, you could. Green, if you want them to be green, color them green. Brown. I just thought the Wild Honey went kind of with the paper I was using, so that's what I picked. Okay, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to add a little bit of more Barn Door to the inside of my button. Okay, so her hair is pretty dry, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another layer of black soot to that. So I'll get a little bit of my brush and I'm going to start above the braid again. Add a little bit down here at the bottom. At the bottom of this little bow she's got here. She's got a little piece over here. Remember to get down here where in between the ribbons where she's got her hair in a little wrap. Okay, Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so remember, this is watercoloring, so you're never ever going to get that hair to be pitch black. It's always going to be watercolored, so it's going to have little faded light spots in there. You're not going to be able to completely make it all black. That's okay. That's part of watercoloring. And so for her shirt, if you bought your kit this month, you've got a Wink of Stella glitter pen, the yellow one, in your kit, so you could color her shirt. If you didn't buy it during the kit month, you could color her shirt with mustard seed. But we're going to use the colored pencil. And for that, I've got my Wink of Stella glitter pen, and I've got my nonstick craft mat. And I'm just going to take my pen and I'm going to color onto my nonstick craft mat and add some glitter to it. And you can see it right there a little bit. And then for that, I'm going to grab my shirt here. Okay, so for her shirt, I went ahead and I have my Wink of Stella glitter pen, and I'm going to grab a little bit of the ink on the end of my brush, and then I'm going to start where I want it to lay down the most. So I'm going to start with these little wrinkles she has in her dress along the bottom in her arm right here, and put down a little bit of color, and I'm going to wipe that little bit of excess off that I had on my brush, and I'm just going to use my water in my brush to spread this glitter around. But it's still going to be dark where I laid it down the most first. Then I'm going to grab me a little bit more of my ink and start over here where I want it to be darkest. I want it to be dark right here along her hand where she's holding her hand on her dress. And then I'll just use that extra to fill in the rest of her dress. And we'll do the same thing down here on these ruffles. And she's got a little bow back here. Let's get that. And she's got some little lacy stuff on the top of her dress. And you can go back and add some to make it a little bit darker if you want it to be more sparkly. It's all up to you. But it just adds some glitter right onto her shirt. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to go up here, and she's got this other little button right here in her shirt, or in her hair, that I'm going to use just the Wink of Stella yellow pen to color in. So I want to color the star, so I'm going to color the little circle and the little star points with just the pen. I'm not going to use any water to dilute it. I want it to be pretty sparkly. And then I'm going to go down here on her ribbon on her hair, and I'm going to do the same thing and just draw right onto it with the marker. So it doesn't have to be used just for watercoloring. You can use it to add some color to your outfits without that. And then I want to define some of these lines she has on her dress. So I'm going to go up here and get some of these lines, like on the top where it's got some little ruffles right there. And then I want to make these ruffles on her dress, these wrinkles, a lot more dark. So I'm going to go in with my little marker and just define those with the pen. And maybe some of these ruffles down here on her skirt of her dress. And then some of it kind of turns up. So I'm going to get the underside of the dress, of the shirt, so it's even darker than the rest of the dress. Maybe her little bow. And it just adds some glitter on there. I love this pen. It's really nice. And then for her apple, I got a Spica clear glitter pen. And I'm just going to paint my apple with some Spica clear glitter pen, just to give it a little more sparkles. You don't have to. You can use stickles or whatever you want. Or you can just leave it like it is. I just wanted it to be kind of shiny. So I added that in there. So now we're going to go down while that's all drying, and we're going to give this girl something to stand on. So for that, I'm going to use walnut stain. So I'm going to grab a little bit of walnut stain on my brush. And I want it to look like the ground comes out right over here and then right here above her toe. So I'm going to lay down my first line. And I'm going to use my wet water brush just to wipe this around. Adding just a little bit of ink because I still have a little bit on my brush that I'm bringing around. And then we're going to wipe my brush off and go back and smooth this top part with just water. Same for this side. And then I'm going to give her a little bit more shadows right here in the front. Because her dress would be on the ground, or her pants, whichever those could be, and would cast a little bit of a shadow on the ground. So I'm going to make it just a little bit darker. And in the image that's on the card, it's in an oval, so you don't really see that much, but it just adds a little bit of shading on there so it looks like she's standing on the ground. So there's our girl, and she looks pretty good. You can go back and add some more color to her hair. Like I said, it's never going to be really dark black. It's always going to be kind of diluted, but that's the whole point of watercoloring. It just gives it that soft, gentle effect. But she turned out pretty good, and this is what the card looks like. So and this paper's October afternoon, but she turned out pretty good. If you'd like to get a kit, it's over at HeathersHobbieHaven.com, and this month you get 3 cards in your kit, and you get the Wink of Stella glitter pen in there to color with, and it's only available until the 16th, so head over and pick one up. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.